People, ooh, they're impatient, aren't they? Always tapping their fingers, checking the time, looking around like something big is supposed to happen right now. They want their breakthrough, their success, their moment. And they want it yesterday. Delays. People hate them, despise them, curse them under their breath like some cruel joke the universe is playing on them. You ever seen a person waiting for something they really want? Oh, it's like watching a kid stare at candy behind a locked glass case, tapping, fidgeting, sighing. They see it, they want it, but they can't have it, not yet. And oh, does that drive people insane. See, when something takes longer than expected, the mind starts playing its little games. It whispers things like, maybe it's never coming. Maybe you're not good enough. Maybe it's already too late. It fills the gaps of silence with doubt, fear, desperation. And once those little thoughts sink their claws in, that's when people start making mistakes. Rushing, settling, grabbing onto anything that makes them feel like they're moving forward, even if it's dragging them straight into disaster. But delays, oh, they have a way of revealing what a person is really made of. Some crumble, some crack, some start clawing at doors that aren't meant to open yet. And then there are the few, the rare ones, who understand the game. They know something most people don't. They see something most people miss. Because what if, just what if, the delay isn't a punishment? What if it isn't some cruel joke? What if it's protection? What if the thing they want so badly right now would actually crush them if they got it too soon? What if it's not about if they'll get it, but about who they need to become first? Oh, but people don't like that. No. They don't want to grow. They just want to get. They want the prize without the process, the reward without the refinement. But life doesn't work that way. It watches, it waits, it tests, it asks, are you ready? Can you handle it? Will you ruin it if I give it to you now? And if the answer's no, well, that's when the delay sets in. Because the truth is, some things take time. Some things can't be rushed. A seed doesn't become a tree overnight. A masterpiece isn't painted in a single stroke. And the biggest things, the best things, the things that truly matter, oh, they demand patience. They demand trust. They demand the kind of person who doesn't just want something, but is ready to receive it. But of course, most people don't see it that way. They see the delay and assume it means no. They think if something hasn't happened yet, then it never will. So they give up, walk away, start chasing something else, something easier. And that's where they lose, not because they weren't meant to have it, but because they weren't willing to wait for it. And the ones who do, the ones who wait when others walk away, the ones who trust the delay instead of fighting it, oh, when the time finally comes, they don't just get what they were waiting for. They become someone who can actually keep it. People love to force things. Oh, they just can't help themselves. If something isn't happening fast enough, if the doors aren't swinging open on command, they start pushing, grabbing, twisting the knob until it breaks right off. Because waiting is for fools. At least, that's what they tell themselves. See, when a person wants something badly, when they've convinced themselves that it has to happen right now, they don't stop to ask, is this the right time? Am I actually ready? No. They just go. They chase, they force, they take shortcuts, cut corners, and before they even realize it, they're knee-deep in something they thought they wanted, but now it's suffocating them. Now they're stuck. You ever watch someone rush into a relationship just because they were afraid of being alone? Oh, it's entertaining. They jump in head first, blind to the red flags, convincing themselves that they've found the one. Fast forward a little and suddenly they're drowning in regret, wondering why things feel wrong, why it's heavy, why it's suffocating. But by then they're trapped. And the funny thing is, if they had just waited, if they had just let things unfold naturally, they might have seen what they needed to see before it was too late. Or maybe it's not love. Maybe it's chasing a dream. They want success so badly that they skip steps, ignore warnings, force doors open before they're meant to. They take deals they shouldn't, rush into decisions, all because they need to see progress. And sure, maybe they get a taste of it. Maybe for a moment it looks like they've made it. But then, then comes the crash, the fallout, the consequences, and they sit there picking up the broken pieces, wondering what went wrong. But it's simple, really. They forced it. They weren't patient. They didn't trust the timing. They thought they could control something that wasn't ready yet. And the worst part, if they had just waited, if they had trusted that what's meant for them would come at the right time, they would have saved themselves the pain, the stress, the regret. But no, people don't like to wait. They don't like to trust. They want it now, even if it ruins them. And that's the irony, isn't it? People think patience is weakness. They think waiting is some kind of punishment. But really, rushing is the real downfall. Forcing things is what destroys them. Because when something is truly meant for you, when the timing is right, you don't have to force it. It flows, it fits, it works. But when you try to grab something before it's ready, it'll slip right through your fingers. And if it doesn't, if you do manage to hold on to it, well, just wait. You'll see what happens next. People think they're in control, that they get to decide when and how things happen. Oh, it's cute. Really, it is. They walk around with their little plans, their little schedules, all mapped out like a perfect puzzle, convinced that if they just work hard enough, if they just push a little more, they can force life to go their way. But life? Life has a sense of humor. It watches them scramble, watches them run in circles, and then, when they least expect it, it flips the board. You ever see someone climb and climb, desperate to reach the top, only for everything to crumble the second they get there? It happens all the time. They rush into things. A business, a relationship, a so-called golden opportunity. They throw themselves at it, chasing it like their life depends on it. But they don't see the cracks. They don't see that they're not ready for what they're running toward. They just want it, and they want it now. And when they get it, that's when the fun begins. That's when they realize they weren't built to hold it. They wanted the weight without the strength. They wanted the crown without the scars. And now it's crushing them. See, people don't like the process. They don't like the waiting. They don't like the lessons. They think they can skip them, like some kind of shortcut in a game. But this isn't a game. No extra lives, no restart button. And when they rush ahead, when they demand things before their time, life has a funny way of handing them exactly what they asked for, just to show them why they weren't ready. And the panic when they realize they've bitten off more than they can chew. It's priceless. You ever see someone beg for a door to open, only to regret stepping through it? They fight for that promotion, thinking it's their ticket to happiness, only to find out it's a cage. They beg for a relationship, forcing something that isn't meant for them, only to end up in a prison of their own making. Because that's the thing about timing. When you rush ahead, when you demand something before it's ready, you don't just get what you asked for. Oh no, you get the consequences too. And those are never part of the plan. People love to say they trust the process. Oh, they love to pretend they're patient. But the moment things take a little too long, the moment they feel that itch of waiting, they start panicking. They start doubting. And then comes the worst mistake of all. They take matters into their own hands. They think, well, maybe I can make this happen faster. Maybe they bend the rules. Maybe they settle for less. Maybe they force something that should have been left alone, and in that moment, they don't see the cost, not yet. But oh, when the weight of it hits, when they realize they've trapped themselves in a situation they begged for, that's when it gets interesting. And that's the thing. What's meant for you, what's truly yours, it won't feel forced. It won't leave you second guessing. It won't break you just to stay in your hands. But people don't want to hear that. They don't want to wait. They don't want to trust that what's coming is better than what they're chasing. So they run, they grab, they force, and then they pay for it. Because what happens when you pull something out of the oven before it's done? What happens when you rip a fruit from the tree before it's ripe? You already know. But people, oh, they have to learn the hard way. People love the idea of control. It makes them feel safe, makes them feel powerful, like they're the ones calling the shots. They walk around with their little schedules, their neat little 5-year plans, thinking, this is how it's going to go. This is when things will happen. This is what my life will look like. Cute, really. Adorable. But life doesn't take orders. Doesn't care about their deadlines, their calendars, their carefully planned checklists. Life laughs in their face, snatches the pen from their hands and scribbles all over their perfect little blueprint. And oh, the panic! The fear, the desperation when they realize that no matter how much they plan, they are not in control. See, they've got it all backwards. They think control is what keeps them safe, what keeps them stable. But what if I told you that control is the very thing that's choking them? That their obsession with knowing everything, predicting everything is what's actually holding them back? People don't like uncertainty. They don't like waiting. They don't like the feeling of not knowing. It makes them uncomfortable. It makes them itch. So what do? They start grabbing. They start forcing. They shove themselves into places they don't belong. They settle for things that were never meant for them, just so they can say, look, I'm moving forward. I'm making progress. But are they? Really? Or are they just running in circles, mistaking movement for progress, mistaking control for security? Ever seen someone who wants something so bad they start breaking their own rules just to get it? The ones who tell themselves, I would never settle, until they get tired of waiting, and then, boom, they lower their standards. The ones who say, I trust the timing of my life. Until that timing starts to feel a little too slow, and suddenly they're making desperate decisions. They bend, they break, they compromise, all because they can't stand the feeling of being out of control. And that's when things get messy. Because when you force something that wasn't meant for you, oh, you don't just get what you ask for. You get the consequences too. See, patience isn't just about waiting. It's about trusting that the waiting isn't a waste of time. People don't see it like that. They see waiting as losing. They see it as being left behind. They look at everyone else, everyone who seems to be moving forward, getting what they want, living the life they think they should be living, and they start panicking. Why am I still here? Why is nothing happening for me? Maybe I should just take what I can get instead of waiting for what I actually want. And that's the trap. That's how people end up with lives that feel heavy, relationships that drain them, jobs that make them miserable, not because they weren't meant for more, but because they got impatient, because they settled, because they thought something was better than nothing. But oh, there's a price for rushing, and when it comes, when they realize they're stuck in something they forced, that's when the fun begins. That's when they start looking around, wondering why everything feels off, why they feel trapped. And they'll tell themselves, maybe if I just try harder, maybe if I just push through. But deep down they know. They know they weren't supposed to be here. They know they took a shortcut, and now they're paying for it. And that feeling of regret, that weight, oh, that's a different kind of pain. The kind that lingers, the kind that stings. See, people want answers. They want certainty. They want to know exactly when and how things will happen. But what if the not knowing is part of the plan? What if the waiting isn't a punishment but a protection? What if the very thing they're running from, the uncertainty, the patience, is actually what's keeping them from ruining their own lives? But no, they don't want to hear that. They don't want to believe that, because that would mean letting go. That would mean accepting that they're not in control. And that terrifies them. But here's the thing. What's truly meant for you, it won't need to be forced or turned. It won't make you feel like you're chasing something that keeps slipping through your fingers. It won't leave you feeling drained, exhausted, empty. It'll feel like something you have to fight for just to keep it from falling apart. But people, they don't like that answer. They don't like the idea that the very thing they're trying to grip so tightly is the thing they need to release. Because letting go, that takes trust. And trust, oh, that's something most people just don't have. People walk around acting like they know everything, like they've got it all figured out. They sit there, making their little plans, telling themselves how their lives are supposed to go. This will happen by this age, that will happen by that age. And if things don't go according to plan, well, that's when the panic sets in. That's when they start questioning everything. Why isn't it happening for me? Why is it taking so long? They don't like waiting. They don't like uncertainty. They don't like the idea that maybe, just maybe, they're not the ones in control. Oh, but control is a funny little illusion, isn't it? Because no matter how much they think they're running the show, something always comes along to remind them that they're not. A delay, a setback, a door slamming shut right when they thought they were about to walk through it. And what do? They fight it. They resist. They try to force something that was never meant to be forced. Because the idea of letting go, the idea of trusting that something bigger is at work, oh, that's just too much for them to handle. See, they don't realize that the waiting isn't wasting. That delay they hate so much, that moment where they feel stuck, feel like nothing's happening, that's not a punishment. That's not the universe working against them. That's protection. That's preparation. Because sometimes the things people want, they're just not ready for them yet. But try telling them that. Try telling them that the timing has to be right, not just for them, but for everything around them. They don't want to hear that. They just want what they want, and they want it now. And that's where the mistakes happen. That's where people start making desperate choices. They get tired of waiting, so they take shortcuts. They settle. They jump into things before they're ready. And then, when it all comes crashing down, when they find themselves knee-deep in a mess they created, suddenly they're looking around, wondering what went wrong, wondering why this thing they wanted so badly feels heavy, feels wrong, feels like it's draining them instead of fulfilling them. People love to chase things, love to run after opportunities, after relationships, after success, but what they don't understand is that what's truly meant for them, it doesn't require a chase. It doesn't feel like a fight. It doesn't leave them feeling exhausted and empty, but patience, trusting that something better is coming, that's a hard pill to swallow, because patience means waiting, and waiting means uncertainty. And uncertainty, that drives people crazy. Ever seen someone who forces something? Someone who grabs onto an opportunity, a relationship, a situation, even when every fiber of their being is screaming, this isn't it, this isn't right, but they don't listen. They tell themselves, maybe if I just try harder, maybe if I just ignore the red flags, the signs, the warnings, maybe it'll work out. But it never does it? Because something that isn't meant for you, something that wasn't made for you, it will never fit the way you want it to. You can force the puzzle piece, sure. You can shove it in, twist it, press it down, make it look like it fits. But deep down, you know it doesn't belong there. And that's the problem. People want the reward without the patience. They want the promise without the process. They want to hold on to something, anything, just so they don't have to deal with the discomfort of waiting. But waiting, that's where the growth happens. That's where the transformation happens. That's where people become the version of themselves that can actually handle the things they're asking for. But no, they don't want that part. They just want to skip ahead to the good stuff. But skipping ahead comes at a cost. And it's a cost most people aren't ready to pay. Because when you rush something, when you take it before its time, it never lasts. It falls apart. It collapses under the weight of what it was never meant to be. And the funny thing is, when that happens, when people find themselves stuck in a situation they forced, they start wishing they had just waited. They start looking back, wondering, what if I had just been patient? What if I had just trusted that the timing would work out? But by then, it's too late, isn't it? People don't realize that sometimes the delay is the blessing, that the very thing they're complaining about, the waiting, the uncertainty, the not knowing, that's what's saving them. That's what's keeping them from ruining their own lives. But they don't see it like that. They see it as being held back. They see it as losing. They see it as falling behind. And so they keep grabbing, keep forcing, keep pushing for something that's not ready yet. And when they get it, when they finally hold in their hands the thing they thought they wanted, they realize it's not what they imagined, it's not what they needed. But by then, they're already in too deep. People like to think they know everything, like they've got life all figured out, like they've got control. That's the joke, isn't it? Because control is a myth, an illusion wrapped up in a pretty little bow of schedules, deadlines, and expectations. People live their lives looking at the clock, making plans, telling themselves this will happen when I say so. But life Life doesn't care about their time. Life doesn't care about their perfect little plans. Life moves at its own pace, and when it decides to shake things up, oh, it does it so beautifully, so chaotically, that all those carefully laid out plans, they crumble like sand slipping through desperate fingers. People don't like that feeling. They don't like looking at their hands and realizing that no matter how tightly they try to hold on, life will take what it wants when it wants, and when they're left staring at the wreckage of their so-called plans, what do? They panic, they cry, they scream at the sky, "Why me? Why now? Oh, it's tragic, it's funny. It's the same story every single time." Because people don't understand that sometimes losing is winning. Sometimes when life takes something from them, it's not punishment, it's protection. But no, they don't see it like that. They just see what they lost, what was ripped away from them, what they thought was supposed to stay. See, people think they know what's best for them. They chase things. They cling to people, to jobs, to situations that are killing them. But they call it love, they call it loyalty, they call it ambition. They tell themselves that if they just hold on a little longer, if they just try harder, maybe things will change. Maybe that relationship that's draining the life out of them will suddenly turn into something healthy. Maybe that job that makes them miserable will magically start fulfilling them. Maybe if they just fight for it, it'll all work out. But deep down they know the truth. They know it's not working. They know it's never going to work, but letting go? What's left? Who are they without the things they've been clinging to? That's where the fear creeps in. The fear of the unknown, the fear of starting over, the fear of looking at an empty space where something used to be and realizing that maybe, just maybe, it was never supposed to be there in the first place. Oh, but people don't like to admit that. They don't like to admit that they wasted years, wasted energy, wasted their heart on something that was never meant to last. So instead, they hold on, they pretend, they lie to themselves. They tell themselves, I can fix this, I can make this work. And in the process, they lose themselves. They trade their peace, their joy, their sanity, all for the illusion of control, all because they're too afraid to admit that sometimes the best thing you can do, the only thing you can do, is let go. Oh, but letting go isn't easy, is it? Because the mind plays tricks. It whispers, what if? What if you just held on a little longer? What if you're making a mistake? What if you walk away and things finally get better? And just like that, they stay trapped. Trapped in cycles, trapped in patterns, trapped in their own damn minds. They build prisons out of comfort zones, out of fears, out of the refusal to trust that maybe, just maybe, losing what wasn't meant for them is the best thing that could ever happen. But the funny thing, the real punchline, the moment they finally let go, the moment they stop fighting, stop clinging, stop trying to force something that was never meant to fit, oh, that's when things start falling into place. That's when peace creeps in. That's when they look back and realize, wait a minute, this was supposed to happen. This loss, this pain, this heartbreak, it wasn't destroying me. It was freeing me. But people don't see it in the moment. They only see it when they're on the other side, when they've walked away from the wreckage and realized that the thing they were fighting so hard to keep, it was the very thing holding them back. And that's the joke, isn't it? That's the little trick life loves to play. It lets people struggle, lets them fight, lets them wear themselves down until they're too exhausted to hold on anymore. And then, only then, does it show them why they had to lose what they lost. Only then do they understand that what they thought was breaking them was actually saving them. But by that point, they've already learned the lesson. The hard way, the only way.